Look at all these lovely magpies. They've come to have a little chat with me. I've never seen so many of them together. And a group of magpies has many names. A charm of magpies, a congregation of magpies, murder of magpies, which is also the same name for the older crows and ravens. And there's a few of them in this film as well. I do love a magpie. The black and white plumage is, and its beautiful tails, which are kind of like rainbow colours. And magpies are also seen in a theological sense as people who are trying to reach up to the divine source. The blackbirds are those that are all turned away from God, and God's being represented by the white dove, and the magpies are the ones that are flying up to in between because they're a mixture of black and white, still caught up in this material world but trying to reach that divine world. So I was looking at a bit of Gurdjieff and what he was saying about birds. Obviously there's Gornahor Harhak in his book, the raven being that was a good friend of Beelzebub's, and also Gornahor Harhak's son. And I wanted to read a bit from the chapter Why Men Are Not Men in All and Everything, where he talks about birds. Personally, I like best of all the free-centred beings breeding on the planet bearing the name Saturn, whose exterior is quite unlike ours, but resembles that of the being bird raven. It is interesting, by the way, to remark that for some reason or other, the form of being bird raven breeds not only on almost all the planets of this solar system, but also on most of those other planets of the whole of our great universe, upon which beings of various brain systems arise and are coated with planetary bodies of different forms. The verbal intercourse of these beings, ravens of that planet Saturn, is something like ours. But in regard to their utterance, it is, in my opinion, the most beautiful of anything I have ever heard. It can be compared to the singing of our best singers when, with all their being, they sing in a minor key. And as for their relations with others, I don't even know how to describe them, can be known only by existing among them and by experiencing them oneself. All that can be said is that these bird beings have hearts exactly like those of the angels nearest our endless Maker and Creator. They exist strictly according to the 9th commandment of our Creator, namely, do unto others as you would do unto your own. Later I must certainly tell you much more in detail about these free-brained beings also who arise and exist on the planet Saturn, since one of my real friends during the whole period of my exile in that solar system was a being of just that planet, who had the exterior coating of a raven, and whose name was Harhak. So it's quite interesting that he brings up the old golden rule there, do unto others as you would do unto your own, do to another as you would have done to yourself. Such an important golden rule that should be passed on throughout the world. And if people abided by it, they would probably have a lot more respect for each other and a bit more understanding of how each other is. And we have here also Gurdjieff bringing up about how these birds and their hearts, they have hearts exactly like those of angels, nearest our endless Maker and Creator. And the angels are the ones often seen with wings. I like it in the old Bible that it has the 3 sets of wings on the shoulders, on their feet, and across their private parts. But the wings help them obviously fly their messages back and forth between us and the divine. We have Mercury that used to do that in the Greek pantheon, with his wings on his helmet and his wings on his feet. But it was quite interesting that he says that these bird beings have hearts exactly like those of the angels. The angels, supposedly full of love and adoration for our endless Maker and Creator. Apart from those fallen angels that are obviously their hearts turned a bit black and caused the war in heaven and then got sent down to the pit, which I've done shows on before. But isn't it wonderful about the verbal intercourse of these beings? I love listening to birds singing, and especially in the morning, sitting in my little conservatory or in my garden in the summer, watching them flying around and eating from the bird table and having a little drink. But it's so wonderful to hear them singing. they get ignored a lot in our everyday lives. Though I know many people got tuned into them during the 2020 year when the roads were quiet and they could hear the birds singing. So how attuned are birds? I think they're pretty spot on. Though I was hearing recently that Nick Cope, the man that worked for the British version of the X-Files, apparently said that seagulls were alien probes or drones. Anyway, I found that quite alarming that he would say something weird like that, but I'm pretty sure they're not. I've had quite a few conversations with seagulls when I lived on the coast of Wales many years ago. And I like it that Gurdjieff's telling us that birds, mainly ravens, seem to breed on almost all the planets of the solar system and on other planets throughout the whole great universe. What wonderful thing to know that there's birds everywhere. But I wanted to go on to the Purgatory chapter in All and Everything, the holy planet Purgatory, where again he does a little bit about birdies. So I'm just going to again read from there and then perhaps discuss it afterwards. So he's talking about the holy planet Purgatory, which is the place that many people go. And it's where people, higher being bodies, can help to better themselves. Higher being bodies who now dwell on this holy planet cease to have the possibility of blending directly with our most holy Son Absolute. Well, we all want to blend with the most holy Son Absolute. We want to return to the Creator. But anyway, the bird bit, page 746. It was just from this time that the whole surface of this holy planet Purgatory, was correspondingly organised and adapted in such a way that these higher being bodies might have the place of their already unavoidable existence on it. Having said this, Beelzebub became a little thoughtful, and with a slight smile continued to tell the following. This holy planet is not only the centre of the concentrations of the results of the functioning of all that exists, but it is also now the best, richest and most beautiful of all the planets of our universe. When we were there, you probably noticed that we always saw and sensed that from there all the space of our great universe, or as your favourites would say, all the skies reflected, as it were, the radiance which recalls the radiance of the famous and incomparable Almacornian turquoise. Its atmosphere is always pure, like the phenomenal Sacrolanian crystal. Everywhere there, every individual with all his present senses, everything external, is coloni zinionili, or as your favourites would say, blissfully, delightfully. On that holy planet, as the informed say, of springs alone, both mineral and fresh, which for purity and naturalness are unequalled on any other planet of our universe, there are about 10,000. There, from the whole of our universe, are gathered the most beautiful and best songbirds, of which, as the informed also say, there are about 12,000 species. And as for the supplanetary formations, such as flowers, fruits, berries, and all others of the same kind, words are inadequate. It can be said that there are collected and acclimatized there almost the whole flora, fauna, and foscalia from all the planets of our great universe. Everywhere on that holy planet, in corresponding gorges, are convenient caves of all kinds of interior form, made partly by nature herself and partly artificially, with striking views from their entrances. And in these caves there is everything that can be required for a blissful and tranquil existence, with the complete absence of any essence anxiety whatever in any part of the presence of any cosmic independent individual, such as higher being bodies can also become. So Gurdjieff goes on to explain in the Holy Planet Purgatory how all this is a system that helps with your ego leon optites, which is helping us to become, hopefully, higher developed beings. And to do this, there's the archangels that run this holy planet purgatory to help everybody sort out their divine deliberations, to sort out their divine essences, and to help them get back into the role of doing what they're supposed to be doing. You know, being a part of the fundamental cosmic laws that govern this world, the universe, the planet purgatory, planet that govern the whole universe. If we're in harmony with them, then we are working with the divine source. And if we're not in harmony with them, if we're running a bit skew-if from the cosmic vibrations and the cosmic mechanical workings, the cosmic laws, then we find ourselves ill at ease when we want to be at ease. I thought, wouldn't it be lovely to be on that planet to listen to all these different birds? But we can do that on this planet. We can go and listen to all the different birds on this planet, and then at the same time work on ourselves and how we can align with the primordial cosmic sacred laws, such as Triamazikamno, the law of three, and Heptaparapashinok, the law of seven. And he goes on to remind us that all this is part of the objective cosmic science. And he says, the line of the flow of forces constantly deflecting according to law and uniting again at its ends. So everything's going around, everything begins, well, everything not necessarily begins, because everything is a continuation of something else, but everything's making everything work, like the cogs in a machine. And we want to be part of them cogs, but in a great way of serving the divine. And there's a little bit about the sacred Triamazikamno here. And Gurdjieff says, the first, God the Father, the second, God the Son, and the third, God the Holy Ghost. I'm going to do a show on the Holy Ghost, I think it's very important. But these are all parts of the law of three, and then we can implement them in ourselves. Sources of divine rejoicings, revolts, and sufferings, direct your actions upon us. Or, wholly affirming, wholly denying, wholly reconciling, transubstantiating me for my being. One of my favourites. I try to use that prayer when I'm doing my own exercises and meditations in the morning. You know, Holy God, Holy Firm, Holy Immortal, have mercy on us. We definitely need mercy upon us to help us to unite with the divine. But maybe we can send our little prayers and our wishes, whisper them in the ears of the birds as they fly past us, and they can take them on up into the heavens. And let the angels hear what it is we need, who will then pass it on to the divine source, and hopefully angels will come back and help us in our workings upon ourselves. But we have to start by doing it ourselves. We are the ones that need to work upon ourselves, so we can change ourselves within, so that our inner workings start working on the outside, and then we start working, hopefully, and I'm sure we do, with the principle of the maintenance of the continuing existence of the cosmic laws and the governing of the universe. So I just wanted to do a little bit about purgatory and about birds, and to remind everyone that the laws do work upon us if we work upon ourselves. Evolution and involution. The evolution coming down from the divine source and the angels and the higher hierarchies into us. We work on it and send it back out again. Oh, sorry, it's an involution coming down to us, and then an evolution going back out. What we do makes an effect on everything else. So thank you for listening. Watch out for the cherubs and the seraphims and the angels and the archangels. And remember that the emanation of the most holy Son, Absolute itself, they called, as I've already told you, Theo Mertma Logos, or Word God. The radiation of each separate second-order sun, Mentis Kar Zion. The radiation of each planet separately they called Dynamo Zion. That given off from the microcosmoses they called Photo Zion. The radiations issuing from the Tartar cosmoses they called hambly dozing. And it's that hambly dozing we need to be creating within ourselves so that we can go forth. So thanks for listening to my little ramble and rant as I pass through the holy planet Purgatory. And let's make the world's great cosmic laws work for one and all.